What is good, everybody? Right here, you will get the latest news from both myself, Nazg, and Jason616 on JayNAS podcast news channel. Guys, it is our first episode. I'm really excited to present this to you. It's something I really want to chuck on my channel, and I've been having a good chat to my good friend Jason616, and he's agreed to join me on these podcasts and have a chat about some of the latest news on his speciality all through the whole retro scene. This guy's an expert. You wouldn't believe it if I told you. You have to see it and listen to it yourself. He knows the ins and outs of everything. But yeah, man, look, mate, I really would love to share a bit of news, not with just the audience, but yourself, since that, you're not really sort of overly affiliated with a lot of the PC scene, but that's all right. That's what I do. But same thing with me, mate. It's the whole retro thing. I still love my retro. All that sort of stuff, but I like hearing your side of it, mate. So I think we should share each other's views, let the audience know what the latest is going on. But yeah, man. So who do you reckon's going to go? Who should go first? Who wants to go first?
Look, you kick it off, man. Because I've recently past year and a bit, I've got into PC gaming, and I got into it because I found that the more people are playing it these days, it's normally the way to go. Like, obviously with the retro, it was very much couch, sit next to your buddy and play side by side. But that is kind of, in a sense, dwindling away because everything is now internet based. Everything is now online. We never had that back in the day when I first started playing video games. So it's weird how it's completely done a 180. And if you want to play a game with your buddy, you've both got to buy the game, you've both got to pay for your internet, and with some consoles even you've got to even play to have the online feature to play with your friends. So it's crazy how it's completely 180. So the new way of doing things isn't although foreign to me, but I'm still finding stuff out about it as I'm going along.
That might, yeah, man. Oh, mate, I totally 110% agree. Back in the days when you lose all your lives, you got to start all over again. What's this save file crap, So, mate, I remember the days of Nintendo 64. But my first experience, PlayStation 1. I think I was about 10. This would have been 93 or 94, or something like that. My cousin had it, and you'd have to buy a memory card individual, and it would go into the PlayStation 1. And if you wanted to save a game, it had to be there. Otherwise, if you didn't have a save card and you died during the game, too bloody bad. You got to start all over again.
Enough, and although you can't see it, I'm holding it right in my hand, the original PlayStation memory card. And I look on the back, and it's an 8 megabytes. That's right, wow. 8 megabytes for a PlayStation.
Mate, the average phone has 3 times that amount.
I know, and it's funny, funny you say the original one for PlayStation, the PlayStation 1, because I actually got my PlayStation 1 for the very first years ago. I kid you not. I was Nintendo, because back then it was kind of like Nintendo versus PlayStation. I mean, Sega was in there to compete as well, but it was literally your Nintendo or your PlayStation.
Yeah,
and I was Nintendo. I was Nintendo. Like, I grew up going Nintendo until I think the 64, and the PlayStation 2 came out for about a year and a half before I finally got one of them, and it was like Nintendo all the way. But the PlayStation 1 was, I got the PlayStation 2, the 3, and the 4, and I never had played the 1. Even today, there are some classic games on the PlayStation 1 I haven't played. And I'm an avid gamer, so.
I mean, I'm sure if you haven't already, you haven't lived until you've played Tekken on PlayStation 1, mate. I'm sure you've done it already, have you?
Dude, do you know what? Like, I went, funny enough, Beyond Retro here is my hookup for games, because those guys are legends. I saw they put up on their Facebook page, they had a mint copy of Tekken 3 come in, and that was like 3-4 weeks ago, and I was like, holy shit, I've never seen a copy of this go in anywhere. I've never been able to get my hands on it, and funny enough, I was like, hold that right there, I'm going to pick it up. So I actually went and got Tekken 3, and it's my very first Tekken game on the PlayStation 1 that I have, and I got home and played the hell out of that. I was on it for like 2.5 hours straight. When I got home, I was like, yes. And you're right, Tekken was insanely good. It was almost like Tekken was the Nintendo Street Fighter.
Yeah, man.
Do you know what I mean?
Amazing.
Like,
man.
Yeah, because it's like you had Street Fighter, which was just boss, But then you also had Mortal Kombat as well, which I think swang both ways. Wasn't it Mortal Kombat was also maybe Sega? I think they had, but it was almost like it was just Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and that's what you hear now. But Tekken is missing in that because Tekken should be right up there with him because it's just as good in its own regard. Like Tekken is just as good.
No, definitely, man. I remember Sega Saturn when that came out, and I remember watching and playing Virtua Fighter, and that blew my mind. And then, of course, the PlayStation came out around about the same time, and then Tekken, and that just stepped it up a notch. It was just amazing, amazing on that front.
Well, that's right. I mean, MK has been, I think, the fighting game that has developed over time and has now become the best. I mean, from back in the day, I think Street Fighter 2 on the SNES or Street Fighter 2 Turbo, either one, was the real staple because that was the one in the arcades that they played the hell out of. And I think it was one of the first things that actually went to player versus player. I think they may have been the staple to actually do that as the first, and it was a weird concept, like because it was always like you versus the arcade, in the arcades, going until you die and your credits over. But they ended up doing the player versus player, and Street Fighter was the first one to do that. But over time, Mortal Kombat I think is kind of ticked Street Fighter off because the later games for me for Street Fighter are not my thing. They're not my thing.
No, same, mate, same. Just Street Fighter 2 is still the only true beat 'em up in Mortal Kombat. So even Mortal Kombat 3, something about Mortal Kombat 3 I didn't really like, but Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 are just the ultimate beat 'em ups for me. Street Fighter 2, ultimate beat 'em ups. Tekken, those are the god. That's god tier to me. So and that's all back in those 90, 91, 92 days and all that sort of stuff, mate. It's amazing back then.
Yeah, and that's for me as well. And I throw a credit out to one of the most underrated fighting games that there are, and that is definitely Killer Instinct. I don't know if you've ever played Killer Instinct, but Killer Instinct is... Oh, and do you know what? Like, funny enough, that got reprised, I think, in 2013 for the Xbox 360, but it just flopped because it was just too long between Killer Instinct and Killer Instinct Gold on the 64. Then it was just kind of lost in the ether, and it just didn't have the feel. I think that's the same thing with Street Fighter and me. Like Street Fighter 4 and 5, just just and some of their main characters you have to pay to down as DLC. And to me, like, I don't want to buy Guile, man. Guile's a staple.
Those paywalls, the paywall trend, microtransaction trend. That's the only downfall with what's foreseen in the future of PC gaming these days, is that you only get 60% of a game when that first releases, and they don't tell you there'll be 2 or 3 DLCs behind paywalls or something like that. So it's inevitable how it's turning. But at the same time, I was mentioned to you before about Legacy Killer, fresh Clean Prince Gaming, the Quartering. These guys will be the first people that will pull people out that are trying to just reap money out of gamers, and these guys will be our leading voices to stop them doing it. And hopefully, the channel grows enough, that you can sort of start, just flexing a bit of muscle yourself to make game developers sort of listen to you as well. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, they've got to make money, but there's greed as well. So, little things like that. But yeah, man, shall we get into the latest news?
Yeah, go for it, man. What do you got?
Cool, mate. Well, the first thing I want to talk about is of course, Borderlands 3. So Borderlands 3 has been announced. So the announcement was a bit funny because it came out as an April Fool's. It was put on the Gearbox Twitter page, I believe. So because Borderlands is developed by Gearbox and 2K, so it was put up on their Twitter page on April 1st. So people were a bit sus. So this is is April Fool's joke, but people knew Borderlands 3 was going to get announced, but when and what and all that sort of stuff. So it was later confirmed by PC Gamer to say that it is officially announced to come out on September 13th for Borderlands 3. So, which is really, really cool. But it also says, according to PC Gamer, that it's going to be exclusive to console only, which is a bit of a downside, for us PC players that might not have consoles because we spent $3,000 on the bloody PC. Not me. Yeah, no, I did. So it's a bit of a bummer. But then again, I did my own little research. I checked out Gearbox's website, and it says it's going to be released on all platforms. So Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. So there's no 6 months wait. But having said that, when it does get released on PC, a lot of PC gamers lately have been sort of a bit annoyed about everything getting released on exclusive to Epic Games. It's not going to come out on Steam. So even though Borderlands 1 and 2 is out on Steam, it's going to be exclusive to Epic. So it's just another spanner in the works for a lot of PC gamers that have to have multiple launching platforms that aren't as tidy and as clean as Steam. Because, Steam has a very, very good, clean, feedback. They do ratings. If you want a refund because you hate the game or if it's buggy or anything like that, I'll tell you a little story. I brought Call of Duty Black Ops 4 from the Activision store because it was exclusive on the Activision store. Battle.net launcher, I should really call it. And my version was corrupted. And because I had it for more than 72 hours, because I tried, did quick fixes and hot fixes and shutting this off and turning this off and turning I even uninstalled all my Razer applications, all this sort of stuff.
You went for it.
Yeah, man. And I wasn't the only one. There was about probably 5,000 people, 6,000 people in the exact same boat. Just would crash on turning the game on. And I tried all these hot fixes and nothing. And because I tried it for about a week, I then sent an email to Activision, Battle.net, all that sort of stuff, asking my money back, and they said no, sorry, because you've had it for more than 72 hours, you can't have your money back. And I was pissed. And I've had the game ever since it released in October, and I've only played it once. And I was lucky enough to be able to record at that same time because it managed to work that time for some weird reason. But no, 99.99% of the time I've tried to play it, it just won't work. So that's the thing, mate. So things like Battle.net launcher, Bethesda launcher, Epic. There's all these things that Steam doesn't have. Like the refund policy, able to put down a review and all this sort of stuff. Things like that. So that's a bit of a downside. So of course, in the wake of releasing the announcement of Borderlands 3, it looks like Gearbox will do another re-enhanced Game of the Year edition for the original Borderlands. So cool. I say quite a lot of people. I've never played the other Borderlands. I know they're really good, and I've seen quite a lot of footage of Borderlands 2. I do plan to play Borderlands 1 and 2 before I play Borderlands 3 because that's something I just got to play. So, but yeah, man, that's number one ticked. I wanted to talk about announcement. So yeah, man, I believe you might have some news for me as well, buddy. What have you got?
Yeah, funny enough, announcements from me is going to be very because I'm coming from the older background of things. So, for retro announcements, it's going to be an odd thing to come by. But funny enough. It was announced, I think, 2 days ago now that one particular game from the N64 is actually being not only updated, but is actually being put into a co-op. And it is a game that you would never think would become a co-op. And it celebrated 20 years of being released last year. And that is The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is going co-op.
Oh, yeah. That's impressive.
So, yeah, it's really weird. So it's like what they're doing is they're making it able so you can have two links. So you can have two different links on the screen at the same time. At the moment, they've rigged it so you can actually take on AI enemies but can't attack each other. But they're going to try and add in a way where you can go Link versus Link. So it's going to be an Ocarina of Time where you could potentially battle against or fight against your own friend that's playing with you. So they're really going in and doing some really cool stuff with Ocarina of Time. And it's why wouldn't you? Ocarina of Time in itself, it sold 7.6 million copies worldwide.
Oh, that's impressive.
So it's huge, and it's my favorite game of all time as well. So I'm excited. But you got to give them credits because these guys have actually stuck these games in Unreal Engine. If you go check out CryZenX on YouTube, he's just one dude that is pumping some real good stuff out from Ocarina of Time. And I've been lucky enough to play through some of the stuff he's created on my channel, and it is that game is crying for a re-release into the modern era because it was a hell of a
Definitely.
game. And what they're doing in in Unreal Engine and taking some of these older style games and giving them like a new life. And I think he's gone as far as doing the whole first part of the game and the very first dungeon in the Deku Tree. He's done the whole thing as a complete playable mode. And if we're going to start adding a two-player co-op into that as well, that's going to be crazy. I've got to credit who the guys doing it, because it's you go check them out, and I can give you the link as well if you
Yeah,
want to
man.
read for yourself.
Well, yeah, guys, everyone go check out. We'll put the link in the description, and guys, check it out. What did you say his name was?
So I think it's like a group of what they call modders, but I think they're called Kotaku, 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 and those guys have literally done it into two-player mode, but now we're just trying to add in the player versus player scenario. But I mean, talking about Unreal Engine and announcements, I mean, they've got now Star Wars Pod Racer. They've stuck into Unreal Engine 4 as well, and they've given that a new lease on life, and that looks amazing. That looks genuinely amazing, and I'm actually secretly behind the scenes trying to get my hands on that to play that. So
mate, let me know. You find it, you let me know.
Yeah, dude, I will, because it does look epic. So that's a cool thing. Like, they're bringing that Ocarina of Time back, and I mean, to be fair, like, I'm just waiting for them to re-release an N64 Mini. You know how they did like the NES and the SNES,
Yeah, man.
Mega Drive, and the PlayStation 1. I think they've done now as well.
Yes, right. Yeah, mate.
But
The
the
PS1,
but it wasn't that good. They missed a lot of games.
well, they did. They just didn't work. And it, compared to the mini NES and the mini SNES, they just Sony just did not put enough time into the AVI conversion or something like that. It just made a little small pixelated image blow up on your plasma. So it just didn't convert it properly or something like that, and it just made the games look really, really bad. Plus, it didn't have the best games that made the PlayStation famous. It didn't have all the games that were, only about 2 or 3 of them were decent. So, and that was the thing with the NES and the Super NES, is that they, 60% of the games in there were like some of the top 10 games ever or something like that. So, and that's the other thing. I mean, Nintendo 64 is arguably the best Nintendo that's ever been released, really. So, I mean, they've all had their own strengths, in my opinion, of what were, the classic games. I mean, you can't go past Mario on NES, the original Super Mario, so NES will always have that. And of course, Super Nintendo had, the first taste of Donkey Kong. And I mean, Donkey Kong, Super Mario and Donkey Kong is iconic. I mean, people will know, they're probably the most recognised gaming symbol ever. So apart from, and I mean, Nintendo's responsible for Zelda, Donkey Kong, Mario. So Sony don't have anything like that. So, and that's what I mean. So Donkey Kong was released on Super Nintendo. So Nintendo 64 had, GoldenEye, Lilac Wars, Star Fox, initially. So they have to release that, and they'll do it properly. And that's what I mean. Nintendo 64 was arguably the most popular console, ever, because of their, exclusive games that they had, and they were awesome. Banjo Kazooie, all that sort of stuff as well, man. So, yeah.
But like, I mean, it's funny because I think the Nintendo Switch is Nintendo console. I might be wrong with that. It might be the Wii U, but I never owned one. But the first ever Nintendo, that was bought into HD was the Switch. And it's funny because Nintendo didn't really focus on. I mean, PlayStation and Xbox are always competing. The PS4, the Xbox One comes out. The PS5 will come out. They'll have the Xbox X, Z, Y, whatever, But Nintendo has never really gone to compete with those guys because they just do their own thing. I mean, when the Wii came out, that was something brand new. That was something crazy that, they thought would never really work. It was like all motion control and shit like that. But then I think the Xbox Kinect, was it the Kinect, or the PlayStation Move and stuff, they tried to compete. They just couldn't do it. But then the Switch has come out. I mean, the Switch is not only a stay-at-home console, it's a take-it-with-you console. They've taken like the Game Boy side and the handheld kind of games, as well as at home console. And Nintendo are doing their own thing, and they're sticking a bit. See, the thing is that Nintendo will always have over PlayStation and Xbox is the fact that they have so many memorable characters. Like you were saying, Mario, Donkey Kong. Look at the Smash Brothers roster, man. Like, you just look at, you got Street Fighter. You've got in Mario, you've got Zelda, you've got Donkey Kong, you've got Kirby, you've got Yoshi, they've got Pokemon, for God's sake. When you think of all them as well, but then not to mention they also bought the rights to use Sonic and the Sonic franchise when Sega went down. So, they've got Sonic was Sega's main one that they've taken away. But you look at PlayStation, they have Crash. There's Crash standing alone, but who's there with Crash? I mean, you might have Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
You might say might be up there with them, but what other memorable characters do they have?
That's exactly it. I mean, the only thing that comes to mind, and even then, it wouldn't be as huge, because that's the thing. That's another beautiful thing that Nintendo has done, is that if you lined up the original Mario of all the generations that Mario has come a long way, he more or less looks the same. They haven't really changed him. Does that make sense? They all sound the same, and Yoshi all looks the same. Peach all looks the same, more or less. Donkey Kong all looks the same. So you can show cards, a picture of Donkey Kong to all these different people from all these different years of level or genre. They will all say Donkey Kong. But the most iconic the most iconic characters of PlayStation, probably one of the more big ones that spring to mind would be, Kazuya from, Tekken or something, So people recognise Crash, but they have changed the characters over the years, and they've...
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Crash obviously got the re-release of the... Which, Crash was probably begging for that. But I guess I've been sitting here thinking about, PlayStation characters. I think you'd throw Lara Croft, Tomb Raider probably in there. Lara Croft might be along the PlayStation line.
That's it. Yeah, that's
Spyro the Dragon as well. Spyro, and I think he's now getting a trilogy re-release. Spyro.
That's true, man. Yeah, that's true.
I think he is. Exactly. So, and I, do you know what? Hand on heart, I've never played the original Spyro or Crash Bandicoot games.
Same. I've had a quick go at Crash Bandicoot, but no, I'm same, man. I haven't played any of the Spyros or Crashes or anything like that.
Yeah, I literally last week, it's down there on the shelf, just down there. You can see that PS1 game. I got that last week, and that's the original Crash Bandicoot. I could have perfectly gone and bought the Insane Trilogy, but being the retro guy I am, I wanted to play my first experience of Crash Bandicoot authentically.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I went and bought that game. So.
Mate, I'm the same. The only reason why, I mean, I've still got MAME. I've got MAME emulator, and I've got WinUAE on my computer. And of course, I'd much prefer to be playing the actual arcade itself. I'd rather be on the cabinet playing it, or I'd rather have an old A1200, an old A500 in front of me. But they're hard to come by, and they're expensive. So my cousin's got a couple of Amigas lying around, and he's got one set up, and you can genuinely play it if you want to. But WinUAE is so one-to-one, it's almost pointless having an old setup.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like a lot of people with the retro stuff is very much emulator. But what people don't realize is when I play on my channel is that I don't use emulators. I don't use them. It's not that, I'm not going to go, oh God, I hate everyone that uses an emulator, because that's the easiest way to get some of these games, and you don't need a console, and it plugs into keyboard and mouse, and you can get like Nintendo controllers that are USB plugins. Do you know what I mean? And you can get some of that stuff. But I play on a splitter. I split the signal to my TV into my laptop, and that's how I play and record these things. I'll go out and buy, if I want to go and play a game and I don't have it, I'll go out and buy a bloody cartridge. Still, even to this day, and you know what? Like, some of them you can get for $30. Some people don't know what they're doing and don't know prices. You can get some cheapies, or they say here's a game that's worth 175 when it's worth like 90. But you got to know your pricing. But you can still pick up some of those games. I mean, I've been on the search forever, for about 3 years, since me and my brother shared the Super Nintendo, because that was given to us as a gift when we were like still living in England by my grandma. She got it at a random car boot sale or garage sale, they call it here in Australia, I think. And she got it for like £30, which is like what, $50.
Yeah,
maybe something like that. Now I don't know.
yeah,
Something like
about
that.
that. Yeah, about that.
But
That's pretty good price.
and the first thing that we got was we got the Nintendo Scope game. So we thought we were using it, but we weren't.
Mm.
We got Desert Strike, which
Oh yeah.
I didn't really understand it back then. You know, that's more of a game you need to be a bit older to understand. We got Pit Fighter, which is completely shocking. It's one of the worst games of all time.
Yeah, it
Um,
is. It is. I remember playing it on Mega. Same thing.
yeah,
Terrible. It
yeah,
was supposed to
and
be. It was supposed to be made on the. It was made based
the
around the
longest minute.
movie, Wrong Bet. So or
Mm,
Lionhearts or something with Van Damme. It's
mm,
supposed to be based around that, but
yeah,
complete disaster.
yeah, it was shocking. And then the fourth game we got that came with the Super Nintendo was Starwing, the
Oh yeah.
very first Star Fox game.
Mm.
And that's why, like, even till today, I love Star Fox franchise because that was the very first game that I played the shit out of.
Mm.
And then when we got the Nintendo 64, it was Lilac Wars here for us and Star Fox 64 everywhere else in the world.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't know why that was, but yeah, I loved Lilac
oh,
Wars. It was
I don't
great.
know. Yeah, and me and my brother went back and forth for forever. Just we would literally sit there for 4 or 5 hours, and one person would have a go, and because you can complete that game in 45 minutes, and there's different
Mm.
routes to do and
That's right.
different stages that give you a better score, and we would just try and take each other's scores out because I would be better at Area 6 and he would be better at Macbeth or something like that. So we would really try harder and harder, and we might just like scrape through with like 2 points higher or 2 hits
Mm.
higher, and he would be like 3 hits under, and then vice versa. And like that game, we stuck at that for years, and even now I go back and turn it on and play it. I've streamed that a couple of times because not only do I love the game, but there's so many different paths and pathways to do it, and even now, like I still play, and although I, well, I'm on my way to 30, but when I was in like my early 20s, I would still be playing that and get some damn
Mm.
good scores. But
Mm.
now, like, I play so many other games that I don't focus on just that. But I still love it, and I stream that sucker because it's just a game that will never die. It's
Yeah,
just
man.
one of those games.
Of course, and it has one of the most iconic, one-liners out of most games, or pretty much any game as well.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Do a
know,
barrel roll.
that's the one.
That's the one.
Do a
Yeah,
barrel roll. Mm,
do a barrel roll. Yeah,
that's
but
the one.
but yeah, it's funny because I have so many games back there. What I'm pointing to on the top and bottom, top and second shelf down there, all my PS3 games. And I tell you what, there's probably only 6 games there that I'll pick up and play every now and again or on a semi-regular basis.
Mm,
If I look at the N64, which down there on my shelf, you can see straight away at the front is like I've got what Lilac Wars, Super Mario 64, GoldenEye down
mm,
there,
mm,
and I would, they're long lasting for me. Like I still play them all the
mm,
time,
mm.
and while the PS3 is sitting there neglected, I don't know if the PS3 is even counted as retro yet. I don't think it would be.
No, I
Um,
think it's still got another
yeah,
about another
until
7 8
yeah,
years.
yeah, but I mean the PS2's class is retro,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean hell, some of those PlayStation 3 games, like I couldn't imagine in 6 years' time that I would really be putting on to
Mm,
play.
yeah.
It's amazing how some of the retro ones are still going, but you know, they there's still some games and some franchises going. The PlayStation, there's not many that can take out the Nintendo big guns. You know?
Well, no, that's it. I mean, it's just you just can't argue with the history of Nintendo at the moment. It still is, even though it's not the most popular console, but it still is the big horse of of the whole console race. It just has so much history behind it that just can't be sort of taken away from it.
Yeah. But even so, like your your PlayStations and your Xboxes competing with Steam
Mm.
because Steam doesn't cost you to play online with your friends.
No.
PlayStation, you got to pay a subscription to be able to play online. So
Mm.
there's Steam. With the way it's looking, some people say console become, it's all going to go to PC. I mean, that might stand true, but you look 5, 10 years down the track, our console is still going to be around because
Mm.
Steam is, are people really going to want to pay like $80 a year to play online with their friends when
Yeah.
you could go on Steam and just put your controller in? It's no different,
Yeah, man. That's exactly it.
So
That's exactly it, buddy. All right. Second. All right. Shall I do my second
Yeah, man.
topic of the
I
day?
kind of took it away there. We went
That's
on
all
a
right,
tangent.
mate. I'm loving it, mate. Trust me, dude. I'm absolutely loving it. All right. So, my second thing I want to chat about on our JayNAS podcast, or what do we say? What is that we're going to call it? JayNAS cast. What are we going to call it?
There you go. Well, I don't
Cool,
know.
man.
It's probably a work in progress.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll throw a few names around. All right, so, mate, does the software developer or gaming developer Bethesda obviously would ring a bell to you? Yeah.
Yeah, it rings a bell.
Yeah, great. So Todd Howard, the CEO of Bethesda, he's come out just recently and he has said officially that there will be no official announcement or trailer of any sort of even any talk or even a whisper or even a wink in towards any further information towards Elder Scrolls 6, probably the most anticipated Bethesda release in the coming years, or even Starfield, which is known to be the game that will come out before Bethesda. So that Starfield, if you're not familiar, that's basically Fallout but in space. And there is a company that's releasing a game called Outer Worlds, exclusive to Epic Games. That's basically going to be, people's got to have an idea of what Starfield's going to be like when they play Outer Worlds. So for what Bethesda said what Starfield's going to be like, Outer Worlds is going to be like that. So I think it'll be more towards, it'll be its own unique genre of game, Starfield, to be honest. When people say it's going to be like Fallout but in space, I think it's going to have its own sort of little sort of unique genre, in my opinion. But you'll just know that it's a Bethesda game when you play it. So I think that's what people are trying to say. When you play it, you'll know that it'd be like Bethesda. There'll be just so much more recognisable mechanics, the engine and all that sort of stuff itself. But I don't think it'll be Fallout in space, in my opinion. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Starfield's going to be like. But it's just a bit of It's just a bit of a shame that we won't hear or see any more of anything of like Elder Scrolls 6 or Starfield, because a lot of people are saying that a lot of people are even coming out and swearing black and blue and even betting, you can even bet on it, that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be in Hammerfell. So because when they look at the trailer, people have actually broken down the analysis of the trailer that was released at 1 minute and 10-second trailer. And they see iconic landmarks, and they even look where the ocean comes into the land, and they look at the whole Tamriel map, and they say, well, this mountain peak is here, and see those three little crevice things, see that little bay, see how that's the only place in this map where it is. Well, it's there, the trailer, it's there. See, so it's in Hammerfell. You know what I mean? That's what people have been doing. So they wanted to get a bit more of a tease in E3 to 2019 this year to see exactly when Elder Scrolls 6 might be, and so they can sort of break a little bit more clues and all that sort of stuff. So, but unfortunately, there's no mentions in towards anything first in towards that. So, unfortunately, there's no rumours. There's no source in towards that. It's going to be any more announcements towards it, but there's definitely some sort of confirmation that Elder Scrolls 6 will definitely be released in next-gen consoles, so that's not predicted till about 2022. So that basically they're saying that Elder Scrolls 6 is still another 3 to 4 years away, which is fair enough. There was a rumor that was squashed very quickly that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be released at the end of this year because of the whole backlash with Fallout 76, and people are basically saying, screw Bethesda. And then Todd Howard's gone, righto, we need to save our lives. What do? Let's release Elder Scrolls 6 this year. But that was squashed very, very quickly. So because they haven't even started making music for it yet. So apparently, but no, man, bit of a disappointment. But at the same time, it is what it is. I think Bethesda do need to lay low in the wake of the whole Fallout 76 at the moment, mate. But apart from that, bit of a bummer, man. But that was a good thing. That's topic 2 that I want to discuss about, mate. What else have you got for me, man?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we touched briefly on the like the NES and the SNES and those mini. They have actually, Sega has come out 2 days ago where they're announcing the Sega Genesis Mega Drive Mini. So so they're 2 days. I think it was on Tuesday. They said Tuesday, what would that be, the 2nd, that they are going to be doing it. I think they did do a Mega Drive Mini, I think. I don't know. I thought they already had, but they've come out and said Sega Genesis Mini as well. So yeah.
So what
there you
games
go.
would you like to see released on that?
Oh, gee, I don't know. See, I don't even know what was on the other Mini, because they did do the Mega Drive Mini. I'm sure they classic, didn't they?
Mm,
I'm sure they did. Maybe it wasn't a Mini. Maybe it was the classic. I don't know. Well, they're coming out with a Mini anyway, because they did the
mm,
classic game console as the Mega Drive.
mm.
Maybe it wasn't a Mini. So I'm not too sure. Games wise, oh, I mean, you got to throw Sonic the Hedgehog. I
Yeah,
mean,
of course.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Alex the
You,
Kid.
Alex Kidd, yeah. Golden Axe.
Oh
That
yes, of
was
course. That
Golden
was
Axe was
awesome.
pretty classic.
Mm.
You'd probably throw Mortal Kombat on there if you could.
Uh,
Um,
was Outrun Sega as well?
Outrun, there might have been actually. I don't know. I have to look that up.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
but there's a few on there. I don't know. I'm stretching it. Pulling strings out, because I didn't do much Sega. But like. Um,
That's all right, but that's pretty awesome that
is
they've.
it Streets of Rage?
That sounds about right. Streets of
Streets of
Rage.
Rage. Streets of Rage. So yeah, I'm hoping for a Streets of Rage. Yeah. And you know what? I
Yeah.
love Road Rash. So I'm
Yeah. Oh
hoping
yeah, of
to
course.
give Road Rash some dignity and stick it back on there, because that was
Yeah.
really fun.
That was a good game. That
But
was classic.
not only they've come out and said like they're doing the Sega Genesis Mini. So they did do the console one, but it wasn't a mini. So there you go. They did do a Mega
Mm,
Drive Classic console, but it wasn't a mini. So they are
mm.
doing a mini, and they are also came out and said don't expect them to do a Sega Saturn Mini.
Oh
So
really?
that sounds like that's off the cards. Yeah.
Mm.
So that's coming from direct from the mouth of Sega. They said
No,
don't
I'd
expect
love to
a.
play. I'd love to play Daytona again. On the
Mm,
mini. That'd be fun.
Well, do you know what the Saturn I never owned, and I still don't own, and I
Mm.
don't see many out there. So if I was to ever come past it, I'd be on the lookout for the game, man, and you can come around and have a play.
Yeah,
um,
man. Oh, mate, you get Sega Saturn with Daytona. I'll be right there. Oh, mate, good
yeah.
fun.
So
I mean,
so
it doesn't beat, nothing beats the arcade, but Jesus,
mm,
mate, that was Daytona USA was awesome. That was so much fun.
so I'd be on the lookout for that Saturn and the Dreamcast are the two consoles I don't have.
Mm.
So yeah, so they're on my Christmas list. Hopefully, I get them when
Awesome.
I turn 30 this year. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge to anyone that wants to buy me one.
Classic. Uh, yeah, man. But you get a couple of fans, a couple of subscribers, put some money together. Got you something, mate. Yeah, cool. So that'd be
Yeah,
pretty funny.
that would be pretty cool. But yeah. So that's
That's awesome, man.
expect the Genesis Mini or
Mate,
Mega Drive Mini.
mate, that's awesome. That's great news. That's awesome. That's fucking awesome, mate. That's really good. All right, mate. I might touch up on topic number 3 or 4 of my little news. All right, mate. So, I'm sure you're overly familiar with Respawn getting together with EA, and they've created a really awesome, unique version of Battle Royale, as we know of Apex Legends.
Yep.
So they've released their latest patch, 1.10, I think it was today or something like that. So it came out, it was live last night or something like that. I remember downloading it yesterday. And they've cleaned the game up a little bit, which is really cool. There's quite a few bugs in the game. The server stability is pretty off. The bandwidth and all that sort of stuff. It's just the things inside the game. That just doesn't make the game very equilibrium amongst players in a consistent rate. So the new patch has sort of made stabilise the game a little bit. I played it last night, and the melee combat was a big thing as well. It was very easy to try and melee someone. You just miss them completely when you swear you've hit them. They've cleaned it up. They made it a bit more sort of homing, so you'd go and punch someone, your character would turn automatically and punch them, which is really cool. So it's basically the recent patch did come with a couple of bugs. It's made players lose a lot of progress over a period of time, but they managed to reimburse that pretty quick. They are looking at getting some rumours coming around. They're going to do cross-platform soon, so a bit like Fortnite and all that sort of stuff with their cross-platform. Probably the bigger announcements for this release is that they have made massive movements in the direction of anti-cheat. So there was a massive problem with hackers on the PC, speed hackers, melee hackers, and all that sort of stuff, auto aim, all that sort of stuff. It was huge. I remember playing. I've been playing the game pretty much since release, and probably about 2 out of 10 games you'll see hackers of some sort. So just a little bit, they'd kill you just a little bit too quick. They just lock onto your head. You can see it, and you'd watch them, and they'll just be hip fire locking straight to your head and kill them. So you just be like, oh, that's a bit sus. So they've made a mute button. So because the game's designed with this advanced ping system where you don't really need to have a mic when you talk to random people, but at the same time, having said that, you do get some people with microphones, and there's nothing better when you're sort of waiting in the lobby and you're waiting for your turn to pick your legend, and someone comes with a microphone and they've brought themselves a $2 microphone from Big W, and they've put it inside their tonsils, and they jump on, they go, and it's like,
And you know what? Like back when GTA 5 came out, kids that would just scream down the microphone, man. It was just, and you think kids shouldn't even be playing this game. Yeah, kids shouldn't even be playing this game. So, what the hell? And you just, it's like they're just going, and you're just like, why am I playing with this?
Yeah, man. So you'll be happy to hear that they've put a nice juicy little mute button that you can just literally just press, and they will shut off their microphone straight away, which is really cool.
Good. More people need that, man. More people need that.
Yeah, man. But of course, there was again a little bit of a controversy. Little thing came up, but again, Respawn jumped on it really, really quick, which shows how much they care about this game as well. Is that the game has its own respawning system. I know it's made by a company called Respawn, but there's a respawn feature inside the game where, like, a good example is PUBG. You died, game over. Even if you're playing with a mate or two, in duos or squads or whatever, you can be revived. But once you die, that's it.
Time lapse.
What's that, mate?
So they don't have like the time lapse, like Call of Duty where you can be down but you can be revived.
No, so that's the thing with battle royales, is that's the last one to survive. So once you or your team dies, you're out of the game, and you got to start a whole new game all over again. So things like PUBG and Ring of Elysium and even Fortnite, this is what was the breath of fresh air for a lot of people with Apex, is that how quick it was to load in a game. I mean, it's a 60 player base where PUBG, Fortnite's 100 players. So you would jump in the game, and if you died straight away, you'd be back in a new game within about 3 or 4 minutes, where with PUBG, it'd be about 7-8 minutes, So, but the beautiful thing about Apex is that you go down, of course your mates can revive you, but there's a respawn beacon, so people can come up, your teammates can come up to you, grab your respawn banner, go to a respawn beacon, and you would spawn back in the game. So it was a really highly welcomed feature, breath of fresh air, as I said, for a lot of players, playing this game. And that's why I love this game. There's so many awesome features. That's just the tip of the iceberg, but there's so many There's so many awesome features with this game that I loved. It's like I've said before, and I've heard someone else say it, so don't. I'm not going to take full responsibility for this quote, but I saw someone say on Twitter that this is the Battle Royale game that they had no idea that they wanted. You know what I mean? So
that's a big statement, man.
Yeah, man, it's a Battle Royale game they never knew that they needed in their life, and I was the same. I didn't even like the Battle Royale genre. I played PUBG, Ring of Elysium, I played Fortnite, just couldn't really get into them, and then this game came along and I love it. So basically they're going to implement a system where, so the whole point of the game is that if you die, you wait for your teammates to come and collect your banner and respawn you, because it's only a 3-man squad. So there's no duos at the moment, there's no 4-man squads, there's no single player. It's only 3 squad, where again, Fortnite, Ring of Elysium, there's single, there's duos, and there's squads. So what happens is someone dies, they die straight away, obviously frustrated, and they'll quit. And you've got no chance of getting your third teammate back, and you've got to try and win the whole Battle Royale with just you and your mate, and then take on teams of 3 or so on and so forth. So there are people that just quit straight away without even having a chance to try and get your respawn better. So Respawn want to implement a feature where if people keep quitting too early in the game and they do it consistently in a short period of time, they will ban you from the game for a period. So whether it's an hour or 2 hours or whatever, or 5 minutes or something like that, they're going to implement that. But what they did was they accidentally released it in the patch today. So a few players were getting banned for quitting the game too early a couple of times in a row, and Respawn have gone, oh Jesus Christ, we're not meant to do this yet. So they've pulled it back out, but that confirms the rumours of them listening to fans saying that that if you keep quitting too early, you will get banned. So, and they're going to implement that if you do disconnect, because again the game's quite unstable. If you do disconnect from the game, there'll be an option for you to spawn back in with your teammates and pick up where you left off, which is going to be a cool little feature as well. So, little things like that. And on that topic, it's good that they're doing something like that, and it does work because Rocket League have been doing that for a long time. You can, you can always vote to forfeit. Because in a competitive mode, you can't just quit, you can't just leave. So if you think your team, because especially if you team up with randoms, so what's called solo queuing, you team up with randoms, and these other guys are playing pretty crappy. And it's 3-0, and it's it's only a minute and a half into a 5-minute game, and you're thinking the guys we're playing against are just so awesome that they're really good, and my 2 teammates are crap, and I'm not playing great either. You can vote to forfeit the game. So you all vote to forfeit, and you forfeit the game, and then the game's finished, and then you start again and try again. It stops people from just rage quitting, and then it's only 2 versus 3. Do you know what I mean? And if you rage quit, it comes up with a warning saying if you quit this game, you will be banned for 5 minutes. So Rocket League, so Psyonix, have been doing it for a good couple of years, so which is really good. And they only not just recently, again, since probably the start, if you get disconnected from the game, as soon as you jump back in, it comes up with an option straight away. Says you were recently disconnected from a game. Would you like to jump back in? Yes or no? You just click yes, and you get straight back at the game that's instantly. Cool. So
that's cool. Yeah.
So it proves. So Psyonix themselves instantly prove that it's a quite nice implemented tool. Vote to kick, vote to forfeit, stop people from forfeiting or leaving straight away. That affects the gameplay of other people that actually want to play the game, implementing banning and all that sort of stuff. So these are good welcome features, in my opinion, to make an awesome game even better. So with 50 million players playing at the moment, there's a lot that can go wrong, but there's a lot that can go right as well. And good on Respawn for doing it. So, but yeah, man, that's topic number 3 I wanted to get out of the way. Mate,
Sweet,
what else you got? What else you got to tell me, man?
Well, covering off just on what you said at the end there, I mean, I don't play many games, but all I know is that there was the big craze of Fortnite. But from what I hear now is Apex are really underhanding and taking those people away from Fortnite because they're putting a hell of an effort into that game. Like, I mean, I don't play it, but I just hear it all the time. Like, Apex, and
yeah, man,
they're running away with it. Fortnite, you can say goodbye. I guess the Fortnite was just full of screaming kids, Yeah,
it was. I mean, a lot of people started calling Fortnite, what they call it, they started calling it gamers online multiplayer daycare, because all the 12-year-olds would play Fortnite and people would play real games like Call of Duty, Battlefield, and all that sort of stuff, and all the 12-year-olds were playing Fortnite. So
I think those 12-year-olds from Fortnite were the 5-year-olds playing Minecraft. So
yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly, bloody Minecraft.
But this isn't as much retro news. This is talking about Nintendo Smash Bros. Ultimate. So we're talking about. We already know that the Piranha Plant, if you missed out on buying the pre-pack, that he's going to be DLC. You can actually go and get him now as a fighter, the Piranha Plant from Mario. So
nice.
When they have announced, I don't know if you've ever played Persona 5.
No.
Persona? Yeah, they've got Joker from Persona coming out. But they're obviously looking at DLC or fighters coming out, and they've kind of some news and some rumors and some leaks and stuff that's possibly happening, and that they may actually be introducing Banjo and Kazooie as a fighter into Smash Bros. Ultimate. So poor Banjo and Kazooie, man, those guys need. Talk about games reprise. Like they need a reprise, and I think it would be really awesome to stick them into this game because they're a character. You know, they're one of the top. They're up there with N64 in one of the grossest selling games. Was Banjo Kazooie, and Banjo Tooie I think was the follow on, which was just as good. Arguably so, but man, wouldn't it be good to stick Banjo and Kazooie? If they've got Duck Hunt, Banjo Kazooie would be their ultimate rival. You know, you're gonna have a bit of a rivalry going on with them. But they're also like throwing in games that might actually have like people appearing on the roster, and they're leaning at Crash Bandicoot because the Nintendo Switch has been able to release the Insane Trilogy. So there's talks about possibly bringing Banjo Kazooie in for the fight. And also Spyro, because Nintendo wants the trilogy of Spyro. So there's questions on whether those two can join the battle. When, like we were saying about classic characters earlier, it's like, can Nintendo seriously take some staples away from the PlayStation? You know, if Nintendo and the Smash Ultimate has Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, that's two of PlayStation's characters. Next, we'll be seeing Lara Croft and God knows what. But I mean, they've already got Metal Gear Solid in Snake. So, you know, would it be smart for Nintendo to turn around and grab those two? I'd say yes. But they're also looking at, there's talks about something from Doom as well going into Smash Bros. Ultimate. Don't know how true that is, but they're looking at the Doom franchise as something for a DLC character as well. So looking at what's happening there. So
I wonder if that'd be a caca demon or something like that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, there's talks about a shotgun wielding demon. So I don't know. Don't know, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's early days. Joker from Persona 5 gets released this month as well for Smash, so you'll be able to go on and grab the Joker, not Batman's Joker. But don't get confused, although that would be pretty cool. But yeah, so yeah, from Persona. So yeah, so that's some news and some he said, she said kind of leaks. Yeah. Will they, won't they? You'll never know. I mean, dude, all I know is that they won't put Waluigi there. They won't do it. But anyway, yeah, so that's news, maybe not news, but yeah, we've got a DLC fighter coming April, and there's some talks of Spyro, Crash, Doom, everything going into that game, and you know what? They're going to keep going with that game. You know, they stuck every fighter in that, and they're going to, they ever hit the sky, they're going for the moon. You know, man. They're going for the moon with that. That's a hell of a game. Yeah, that's a hell of a game.
I'm still yet to play any of the Smashes, but I know for a fact that is a pretty awesome game.
Oh, you've never played Smash?
No, I've never played any of the Smashes yet, unfortunately.
Dude, I'm gonna bring my Switch to you so you can have a go. It's crazy. It's crazy.
We gotta do it. All right, dude. I'll chat about my fourth little topic that I want to chat about, and it's not really news. It's more of like how do I put it? It's more of like an announcement, like an exciting thing to announce, but I'm not really announcing anything because everyone's going to know all about it anyway. And it's sort of like a little bit of a congratulations as well. I really doubt that From Software are going to hear what I'm about to say. But mate, I've got to say, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, a massively anticipated game. From a game development company called From Software and Activision as well. So it's a beautiful, glorious, extremely hard game. Now, if you're not familiar with From Software, these guys are responsible for the amount of people bashing their heads against the wall and throwing controllers out the window and smashing their monitors while playing the massively notorious hard games of Dark Souls 1, 2 and 3, and of course Bloodborne 1 and 2. Now, those games are unique in their own little factor in many different ways, but they are great games arguably as well. But Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, has not failed expectations. In fact, it has extended them, in my opinion, not only has it got amazing reviews and it looks beautiful, the game mechanics look like they've stepped it up a bit as well compared to, say, like Dark Souls 3. It looks awesome. But the reviews it's got 92 from Metacritic. It's got a 95 from IGN. From Games.c2, it's 100. Rage Quit gave it 95. And it's got around about 86% positive views. 86% positive reviews on Steam at the moment, mate. So, apparently it is a leading Game of the Year contender already. So I'm excited for it. I was going to get it myself last week, but I'm getting it next week, and I can't wait to play it, even though I haven't really played much of the Bloodborne and Dark Souls. I'm looking forward to playing it. And there's a game that's coming out later on this year called Ghost of Tsushima. That's exclusive only to PlayStation 4. That looks really awesome itself. That's made by... Who's making that? Oh, I can't even think of it now. Basically, it's not made by CD Projekt Red, who made Witcher 3, but basically it's Witcher 3, but with a samurai. And that's Ghost of Tsushima. So Sekiro is also, I don't know if you know much about Sekiro, but it basically is Dark Souls, but you're a samurai instead of like, a medieval warrior. So it looks awesome. It looks great, and so does Ghost of Tsushima. That looks amazing as well. So to a point where I probably want to buy another PlayStation again just to play Ghost of Tsushima. That something like that makes me want to get something, but at the same time, I'm going to have my ears on the rail to see if that's going to get like a PC release, which I doubt it will. Like I think it's going to be like Last of Us and what's the other one? Jesus, my brain's gone dead. By Naughty Dog. So Naughty Dog, The Last of Us, and what's it called with Drake? Oh, God. Can't believe I've completely gone brainwashed. Gone brain dead. Uncharted, that's it. Uncharted.
Okay, cool.
Uncharted. So they're exclusive to PlayStation 4. They're never going to be released on Xbox. They're never going to be released on PlayStation, on PC. I'm kind of hoping that it might get a PC announcement, but it doesn't look like it. So, but something like that looks awesome. Because I've seen bits and pieces of that game in action, and it looked really amazing. So it looks like it's got a great story to it. So
we're talking about games like that. That game that I'm looking forward to that is coming out, released on what would it be, June 21st, I think. And that is the reprise of Crash Team Racing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're going Nitro Fueled for the PS4. It's coming out. Crash Team Racing.
That's right. I remember reading something about that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it's coming back, man. The trailer dropped like a month or two ago, and I've been excited for it since. So, and I mean, hell, everyone goes Mario Kart, and I think Sonic had its racing, but Crash Team Racing was pretty damn cool. It was like PlayStation's Mario Kart, and hell yeah, with the Insane Trilogy coming out, may as well go Crash Team Racing. But that might be a cool little online game there,
Yeah, definitely.
That would be pretty damn cool for that to go somewhere. So yeah, Crash Team. 2 months to go for that, but that's one that is coming out. I really want to get my hands on as well. So
yeah, definitely, mate. And of course, an honourable mention before we wrap it up, mate, is of course I found out just today. They're re-releasing, remastering Halo, Combat Evolved, Master Chief Collection, all that sort of stuff. So we'll get a re-release of Halo 1, 2 and 3, Halo Reach and all that sort of stuff. Halo 4 as well, I believe. I've got to look a bit more into it. I'll probably give more updates on the next podcast. But what I heard today is that the early access is going to be available at the end of April. So it sounds like a August, September release or something like that. By the end of the year, we'll all be playing Halo 1 all over again, and I can't wait because I was a big fan of the Halo series, mate. So, did you play the Halos yourself, mate?
Do you know what? I never had an Xbox, but I did have a friend. Like, all my friends were PS2 and PS3 in high school. There was one friend that had Xbox, and he was Halo. So we would normally be like PlayStation, and to keep him happy, we'd stick on Halo. So I had played it. And I would like to play more of it, though. Definitely like to play more of it. So That is
Tip for the
something
moon.
I would like to do. Yeah, man.
mate.
So it's funny because we're like two completely different ends of the spectrum when it comes to games we like and that. So it's really cool to connect on this because you talk about stuff I wouldn't know, and it probably happened first time. Like, but I'm learning as well, and it's just cool. I'm sitting there going, "That's pretty cool." Like that
Same, man.
sounds interesting. Yeah, it's funny how that like we come together from two different places. Yeah.
That was really awesome, mate. I reckon we should wrap this up.
Yeah,
But mate,
I've got an interesting point to finish if you want.
Yeah, go for it, mate. I'd love for you to.
Here we
Go for it.
Here we
Do
go.
it.
Fun fact: today in gaming history, man. Today, April 4th. Today in gaming history, back in 1975, the Microsoft Corporation was formed.
So, 19 what? 1971?
1975. Yeah,
And
it
what
had
was-
three
what was-
employees. The Microsoft
Yeah.
Corporation was formed. Today back in 1975, the birth of Microsoft.
That's pretty awesome, man. And they
Yeah.
went on to release their first sort of game. What was the first thing they ended up releasing?
Oh man, I don't even know that. I don't know digging through that. All I know is that
That's
even
awesome.
here, like you got to throw it out. PC gaming probably wouldn't be the same if it wasn't for Microsoft. So, and Xbox is Microsoft
Yeah,
too.
man.
So, but
That's
yeah,
awesome.
1975, man, it's birth of Microsoft. So there you go. That's a fun fact to end it on today.
Mate, that's really awesome, man. But that's great. I reckon we'll wrap it up. And you know what, mate? I reckon. To be honest, I reckon that's something I think you found and implement just then that we should feature in every single video. Honestly, I reckon we should find a fun fact. Jason's fun fact on the podcast, mate. Every podcast you'll announce
fact, hey?
Yeah, on this day or this week or whatever, this month this happened or something.
I'll find something.
I reckon that's a good idea, man. I reckon that's great. I think you found something. All right, so let's wrap it up. All right, cool. So, guys, that is your latest news. You are all up to date on the PC side of things, and of course, Jason, thanks very much for joining me.
No worries, man. It's good fun.
And I believe that's everything wrapped up on the retro side of things, mate. That was really interesting to hear those awesome announcements of things that are happening, mate, and a little bit of inside news. So, like I said, guys, you're all up to date, and we hope to chat with you guys again soon. Fill in a bit more updates with what's coming new as the news starts rolling in, and we'll get some more stuff together and bits and pieces. We'll try and do this a little bit more regularly, and all that sort of stuff. But Jace, pleasure, mate, and I'll talk to you again real soon. I'll talk to you real soon, buddy.
Yeah, man, will do. Catch you later.
All right, see you, mate.